Good evening and welcome to the Poetry of Justice show with JackieRay Phillips here on YikesRadio.com and AccelerateDradio.net. On the Poetry of Justice show, guys, this is where social consciousness meets the arts. And what we do, we select topics that spark the interest and awareness of social diversity, ranging from arts, entertainment, and social justice at large, leaving our listeners thinking and saying,
YikesRadio.com.
That was so perfect. Those are the soldier sounds. My mentor, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kevin Nash. And Mr. Kevin Nash is the owner here at Yikes Radio and Accelerated Radio. So I tend to go ahead and give him respect because I do appreciate Kevin. And his dream child, ladies and gentlemen, allows me to do what I so much enjoy to do here on Saturday nights at Yikes Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, but I'm going to take us on another journey here. I want to go ahead and start giving some respect to our sponsorships, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to begin with Miss Lori Ray Fisher of Gingy Productions and Entertainment Company, ladies and gentlemen. She is also known here as the benefactor, ladies and gentlemen. So let's give a big round of applause and shout out to Miss Lori G, ladies and gentlemen. And then as we keep going, I got to go ahead and give a very special shout out to one of our new sponsors. That is G Babies Catering, everybody. That's G BABBIES Catering LLC. I want you to check out Chef Mac, and you can find him most notably on Instagram. He's on the gram, y'all, as Chef Mac. So that's my nephew, Macario, so I want y'all to check him out, okay? I'm hoping for you to do that, ladies and gentlemen. Woo, I love this part. And this is when I'm going to go ahead and give a very special shout out to WMPJ Steelworks. That is the man of steel, ladies and gentlemen. I love to go ahead and give him a very special shout out because he allows us to do what we do here on this show as well, ladies and gentlemen. And then we're going to go ahead and I want to tell you about another project that we've got going on, and it's APS Muscle Cars Incorporated, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to check this guy out. We do high-end vehicle restorations. We do hot rods, low riders, Harley Davidsons, you name it, we the place to do it. So you can store your car, we can hook you up with something brand new, or you can go ahead and pick up something off the showroom floor. So you want to check out Memo, that's MEMO, at APSmusclecars.com. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a mouthful, but we made it through. How you doing tonight, Rashid?
I'm doing okay right now. I'm doing good. I'm doing good, Franco. It's been a long day. It's been a long day, but I'm here.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Rashid, very much. So I hope you know that. Now everyone in Facebook, YouTube, and Yikes and Accelerate now knows how much Lori and I appreciate you.
Yeah. And I appreciate that very much.
And then we have some amazing panelists tonight. I think I'm going to start. Oh, hi, Tanya Michelle is with us, guys. Oh my God, I'm so excited. We've got a very special guest, and this guest is very special to me on a couple levels, a few levels, and I'm going to start those levels out with friend, and I want to start it off with a returning guest to the show, and prolific and very positive, very patient, quite kind, positive energy, a good spirit, and willing to help others. So Lori and I were just reminiscing and took the time today, and we realized that it has now been 4 years, Nandes Music. Do you realize it's been 4 years that we've been in collaboration together?
Yeah. At a G Dot show, I remember, in Orange County.
Yeah,
2017.
Absolutely. And look at us, 4 years down the road, and we still rolling, and you're doing some amazing things. I see you out there doing, look at, see? We put that in the ad today, Positive Rap Official. How are you tonight, Nandes?
I'm good. Any day where we could share our talents with the world is a good day, you know what I'm saying? So everything's good. What about you?
Doing really well. I'm going to thank God. I give him all the praise to the Most High. He is the author and the finisher, so I thank him for that. And then I also just want to say another connection that you and I share, and Lori G as well, and some of the other individuals here. But I just wanted to share that we have a passion that we come from our roots, and that passion that Nandes and Lori and I tend to share, everybody, is from the roots of our city where we grew up, which is the city of Compton, California, ladies and gentlemen. And so I take that very passionately to my heart, to my spirit, to my soul, because growing up, we were always told that nothing good can come out of Compton. And I also remember the in the Word of God, where with Jesus Christ being Jesus of Nazareth and the city of Nazareth, and it was a very poor city, and people wanted to know, could anything good come from Nazareth? And we see that as is the Holy Creator and His Son Jesus Christ is definitely that person. So what I'm trying to say all of that to say is nothing is by chance, Nandes, and you've hung in there with me and Lori, and the Poetry of Justice show. I had a little bit of a rickety start, but you were there for me, and you were very patient with us. So I love the fact that we have positive things coming from our city of Compton, and one of the reasons why I strive so hard, and Lori can tell, people close to me, I'm like, with this show, because I got it. We from Compton, not all the time, but I want to be able to say that. And I think of other pioneers like Dr. Dre and Easy E, and we can go on, with those influences, those people that influence me. So, I can get a little long winded, but saying all of that, Nandes, welcome to the show again. How are you tonight?
Oh yeah, I'm good, and I just want to tell you that everything you're doing, like you anointed, and the world needs this. We need, all of these positive things coming out of Compton, coming out of LA, coming out of the world, especially with everything going on right now. So I appreciate, the opportunities you've given me throughout the past 4 years. So you know what I mean? It's all love.
Yeah, thank you so much. Lori G, what you got to say tonight? We got Nandes and of course them lovely ladies of the chat, but talk to Nandes for us, Lori G.
I did. So excited to see Nandes. He and I were talking before the show, and just so excited and so proud of you to keep on the grind and keep things happening and keeping it positive. So you are a great representation of our hometown. Definitely.
How are
Nah,
you?
you are too. I appreciate it.
And we have two people in our Zoom room right now. Hopefully we'll start filling up soon, but I'd like to say hello to Jackie Fisher, who is always listening and hanging out with us. And we have a Melanie Clark, who's in our Zoom room tonight as well. So welcome to our audience there in that wonderful Zoom room. How are you tonight, Shelly C?
I am good. And you?
I'm good, hanging in there. Excited, excited. Got a lot on
Okay.
our plate tonight. And
Yes,
what
we
about
do.
you, Tanya Michelle?
I am doing good. Can you hear me?
I can. Yeah.
Yes, I am doing good. I'm in a good space right now since I'm in familiar territory.
You were out there dealing with a traffic jam, right?
Oh my God. People are out. They're just out everywhere.
Well, I think because of the vaccine, guys, the vaccines. What do you think about that, Rashid?
Well, yes. Since the vaccine has been going out, people have been getting the one and second shot. I think Johnson have been up. They've been approved by the FDA to actually have their a one shot. So now we have three different variants of the coronavirus shot from three different companies on just to basically, I'm gonna get people to actually get vaccinated so that we can have a sense of normalcy. But I think the new normal will be everyone wearing masks, having, the actual Clorox wipes, and the hand sanitizer. Like that's, I don't think that part of our life is actually going to change. What's don't even think that's going to change is the fact that that basically just like the flu shot, we're going to be, less likely to actually get, a COVID or the flu, basically.
Latanya Michelle, what do you think about that? How are you tonight, beautiful?
I'm doing good. So in order for there to be herd immunity, 70% of the population has to have the vaccinations. And I think right near nationally, we're about at 50. When I checked last week, it may be more. We're like at 58% because we had to slow down on vaccinations because there was a shortage. So before Moderna kind of ramped back up, we were like at 58%, but you do need to be 70%. There is some communication out there thinking that the masking will continue at least till 2022. Regardless of the vaccination. There's just not enough data to show the longevity of the coverage and the extended antibodies in the vaccination. Right now, every algorithm that we go through is saying 90 days. You should be okay for a good 90 days. Other than that, they don't know because it was emergency FDA approval and it wasn't a study or a clinical trial like the FDA, I guess you can say, normally does. And so it's just more to come on it. But I think some of the things that we have adopted through COVID probably should have been there in the first place. I think people are just a little bit more cleaner, like even when you go to the airport or in the bathrooms or at restaurants, we're kind of cavalier and, washing hands and, making sure you don't come to work sick and all those things should have actually been in practice before COVID. And so if they can continue those rules, we'll just be a better society, right? And less likely to pass infection.
So
Thank you
has
so
anybody
much.
gotten the vaccine? Did you get yours already, Tanya?
I just got mine last week.
You did.
Both of them or just one?
I just got the first dose last week. So, and it took me
I
a
just
long time to
signed up
really get,
today, guys.
huh?
I just signed up today. They opened up to educators, and I made an appointment today with the help of my niece, Miss Miko. She is looking out for my welfare. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
And I think
good.
there's a large uh, portion of the community that really still needs to get vaccinated.
Mhm.
Everybody in my house got vaccinated. My mother was the only one that took the Moderna. I'm not a fan of the Moderna vaccination, but that's just my personal opinion. I think the whole vaccination is a personal opinion,
I agree.
personal decision, whether you get it or not. So I don't have an opinion on who should get it or not. It's a personal decision. But everyone in this household has had their first vaccination as of last week.
All right, look at that. We're making momentum. Shelly C, what about you, Queen? What is your feelings about it, sis?
I had some reservations in the beginning, but I think it would be a good thing to get it. I think probably just like Tanya said, I'm more of a fan of the Pfizer one, just based on my research. I don't know if whether it's good research or bad, but I think I would feel better if I were to get the Pfizer one. Not sure how I feel about Johnson and Johnson yet. It just got approved, but yeah, I think it might be a good thing to do. So, I did want to wait for a minute and just kind of see if I wanted to decide, but I'm really trying to convince my mother to do it. So, what
Yeah,
about you, Jackie?
I wasn't going to get it, Shelley, because it was available to healthcare workers in December, and I
Mhm.
was completely against it until this new variant came out.
Mhm.
And it hit California 2 weeks ago, and I think I signed up for the vaccination like 2 days after. Coronavirus is something that healthcare has not seen, and we still, I don't think, know how to treat it the way it
Mhm.
should be treated. And a new variant to me, I was like, okay, let me just get it. So I did my research, just like you did, the Pfizer. And when you look at the companies internationally, the countries internationally,
Mhm.
they have promoted Pfizer and banned Moderna, like Japan
Mhm.
and some other countries. So that's what made me go with the Pfizer. And then it was a lot of physicians that were just saying that's what they wanted. So I was like, okay, I need to get on that bandwagon. Um,
So how do you go about getting that? Like if you go to your doctor and he says I only have Moderna, can you say I want the Pfizer vaccine?
they're saying that they're not letting the public choose. I had like kind of because I work for Kaiser, I knew which days we were giving them.
Mhm.
And that's the day I signed up for because they're not allowing you to pick and choose either.
Okay. Okay.
I know when I made my reservation, I don't know what I'm gonna get. They didn't say.
Okay.
Now, can you request it when you get there? It just depends if the site has both, because there's some overlapping in giving the people the second shot of the Pfizer and the first shot of the Moderna. So you can always make the request. You know, so
Yeah. Based on what I don't know. I haven't. How about Johnson and Johnson? How do you feel about that one? The one shot time.
Johnson and Johnson just got approved today. So
How do you feel about that?
I haven't really looked into it. I just don't know. When you look at the dosages and the number of frequency of shots and the days in between, refrigerated versus not, one dose versus two, Moderna is trying to come out with a booster. It's just too many moving parts. I don't know how Johnson and Johnson is going to be available to the public. I haven't really had a lot of research on it because it just hit.
Okay.
It just was today approved, I think.
Okay. I have some numbers if it'll make you feel, a bit comfortable.
Okay.
Or uncomfortable, depending on how you actually view the numbers themselves. So, for Johnson & Johnson, it was about it was shown to be 66% protective against moderate to severe COVID infections in a multi-country study. Importantly, it was 85% effective in protecting against severe disease. There were no hospitalizations or deaths among people in the vaccine arm of a large clinical trial. Now this is compared to the Pfizer and the Moderna, where the Pfizer, I believe, is shown an efficiency of 95% at preventing symptomatic COVID infection after 2 doses, while the Moderna vaccine is 94.1% effective at preventing symptomatic COVID-19 after the second dose. The vaccine efficiency appeared to be slightly lower in people 63 and older, but during the presentation to the Food and Drug Administration Committee in December, the company explained that the numbers could have been influenced by the fact that there were few cases in that age group in the trial.
Interesting.
What about you,
Nandes, what do you think about the virus and the vaccine?
I'm lost on everything y'all was talking about.
What about you, Jackie?
Hey, I'm still on the fence a little bit. So Miko hit me up today with some information on where to go to attempt to get it. But I'm thinking toward it, Shelly C. I don't know about Moderna or whom. I don't know. I mean, do we have like Miko said, or you guys just stated, I don't think we have the right to, in my capacity, I'm just.
I mean, currently, if you're going through Kaiser, we don't exactly have a choice on like which of the three because I don't know how soon Johnson & Johnson is going to be released to the public for actual, shots, but we at least have the Moderna and Pfizer.
So for Southern California, Kaiser Moderna will no longer be available after next week. They're shipping it all. Pfizer would no longer be available. They're shipping it all up north, and Moderna is sending us 750,000 doses for Southern California Kaiser. So if you want Pfizer through Kaiser, try to get it within the next week or two, or let me know, call and see if I can assist you.
Yeah, I'm in the category of pre-existing conditions, so I have to wait.
But I have to wait too, right, Tanya?
You have Kaiser?
I don't have Kaiser.
What does that mean? So Tanya, you're going to be able to be a liaison for. Tanya left. What happened?
Tanya, what were you going to say?
Am I there? Oh, yeah. So for Kaiser, I can assist. I was able to get somebody the vaccination that was non-Kaiser, but they did meet the criteria. So let me look into it on Monday.
That would be awesome. Please do.
And let me see, because I have to see what the metrics is on Monday. But I know for the Kaiser members, it's easier to navigate through. But they are they are opening up to the public.
Okay, so let me know on Monday. You got my number. You can text me.
Shelly, if you don't hear from me, text me because Mondays are like.
Okay. No, okay. I get it. It's like that for me too. But yes, I'll remember.
Yeah. Okay.
That not only are we being Black historians tonight, we are just getting educated on the vaccines.
Yeah.
Keeping it all informative. But ladies and gentlemen, we have a packed show tonight, Lori G. I don't know if you remember, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of areas to cover. And it's our version of a celebration to Black History Month here, 2021 on the Poetry of Justice show. And we're really excited about what we have for everyone tonight. I am going to go on ahead and actually pass the ball on to Lori G because I know she's done some very special things tonight too. So I'm gonna follow her lead a little bit as we start the show off and get into the meats and potatoes of why we're here tonight. Black History Month, Poetry of Justice show. Lori and I, we are calling this where we're going to be celebrating art, music, and hip hop. So, Lori G.
Well, as Jackie said, we do have a really full plate. We want to start off our evening together with a celebration of Nandes and his thoughts and ideas. And we've got a couple of songs that you sent us. And then we want to shift our focus a little bit to hip hop and the history of it and how it has impacted all of us here and our world and all of those things. And then we also have a tribute to African American people, Black people that we're going to continue. And we're going to finish up with a special celebration of what I am calling artists in action. So, really looking at artists who have taken the opportunity to use their art toward social change and activism. So, all of that we got to pack in by 7:50. What do you guys think?
Sounds great. Sounds great.
Sounds great.
Right.
So Nandes, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get started on this? I love your shirt.
I do
Positive
too.
Rap Official. What?
Oh,
yeah, I
Tell me where
appreciate
that
it.
came from.
Well, when I started out rapping, I was just kind of like, you know, just like kind of like doing the mainstream thing. And I would say when I was like maybe like 2014, I started seeing how like certain things I was listening to was starting to like affect my psyche, starting to like affect my mental. And, I started listening to like gospel and like, Christian hip hop and all that kind of stuff. And it just kind of, clicked for me that, what you put out into the world and what you like allow into your psyche can really, affect your well-being and like your state of mind. So I just decided that, I needed to start being, a little bit more like positive for our people and for my, my own mental well-being. And, I'm official with it. So I just positive rap official. That's what I do.
All right. I like that. I got to get me one of those t-shirts. Look at that. That's cool.
I got you.
So why don't you take us down the path of your rap journey? How did you get started? How long have you been at this thing?
Well, I started out trying to be a singer, because that's what the girls wanted in high school.
Not the ladies, huh?
But now, I realized that, I enjoyed the art of rapping a little more just because of how clever you have to be and how witty you have to be, and I'm already a witty person to begin with. So I started rapping when I was playing football at LA Harbor College, and I didn't really seriously get into it until maybe 2012, 2013. You know what I'm saying? And I just, then, like I said, I was a little more mainstream at that time. There's nothing wrong with having fun and all that kind of stuff, but I caught myself, trying to rap like the Lil Waynes and the Kanyes and all that instead of finding my voice. So as I kept going with it, I would say probably like around 2015, 2016 is when I really started to develop the brand that I have now, the Positive Rap Official brand. That's when I really started to come into my own and stop, worrying about the people who, may say that positivity or whatever won't sell, and just, started focusing on the people who do want to hear that, because it is a really big like area of people that want to hear that. Like my music right now, it's not really blowing up in the US like that, but you know, in Lithuania, like I get messages all the time of people who love my stuff. I have a fan in Portugal who told me one of my songs actually stopped him from committing suicide. So that was crazy.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's my song called The Fight. And that was birthed out of my own, like, you know, suicidal thoughts and stuff like that I was dealing with in 2017, 2018, around the time that we met. And yeah, you know, like it's just, you know, the longer I keep going, the more it's just like certain things are being placed in my path, and you know, I'm starting to see certain things like that fan who told me that, to where it's like, man, you know, can't quit, you can't stop, you got to keep going. So the journey I'm at right now is, you know, all about a journey of, you know, change, prosperity, and just really like, you know, like trying to help, you know, one person at a time. So yeah, that's where my journey is with it.
Cool. Hey, how about we play? Is it okay if we play what you sent us? I believe a change is going to come. Can we start with that one?
Yeah, I dropped
Okay.
that on inauguration day. Actually, you know, that was a point.
Oh.
That was a day where change happened for a lot of people. You know, and it marked a little, you know, a new turning point in this chapter we got going on right now in the country. So yeah, go ahead and play that. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, here on Yikes Radio and Accelerated Radio on the Poetry of Justice show, we're going to get into this new piece by Nandes, Positive Rap Official, here on the Poetry Show.
Aim to make a change, aim to make a change. Aim to make a change, aim to make a change. Tell me what's the mental health of a young black male trying to make it in this world, progress slow. I just try to be positive, try to do right, but I still get spotlight shown at night, and not the kind of a standing ovation. No. My mind is so dignified, it can help this nation. It can. No justice, no peace for the deceased. I feel so strongly, cause that could have been me. Yes. Still, I have compassion in my heart. I hate no man, never did and won't start. I changed from that little nigga, ruthless and cold cause of environment. Social experiments. Will I sink or swim? Learn to fly? Will I be the man in my mind? Will I bring a change I aim to be? Someone who goes down in history. A change gon' come, that's what Martin said. A change gon' come, that's what Malcolm said. A change gon' come, that's what Huey said. And I believe it. A change gon' come, that's what Martin said. A change gon' come, that's what Malcolm said. A change gon' come, that's what Huey said. And I believe it. Be the change you wanna see. 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 Gotta keep working, gotta stay focused. Ain't no special magic, no, this ain't no hocus pocus. They say do the hokey pokey, turn yourself around. But I'm too woke for that, I'ma stand my ground. Tell me what's the mental health of a young black male. Tell me. Trying to make it in this world, progress slow. I got a degree, what you know about me? Intellectually kicking like Bruce Lee. But I'm battle tested, you don't wanna F with. I'm mind deep as the blue sea, I'm protected. You can take my cash, can't take my mind. You can show false prophets, he's divine. Yeah. No child left behind, such a lie. My niggas at school can't find peace of mind. Whose world is this? It's mine. And I think that it's time we take over the revolution televised. I know you think I'm a threat cause I use my mind. It's all about peace. So let me know why you trying to take mine. A change gon' come, that's what Martin said. A change gon' come, that's what Malcolm said. A change gon' come, that's what Huey said. And I believe it. A change gon' come, that's what Martin said. A change gon' come, that's what Malcolm said. A change gon' come, that's what Huey said. And I believe it. Be the change you wanna see. 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 Gotta keep working, gotta stay focused. Ain't no special of magic, now this ain't no hocus pocus. They say do the hokey pokey, turn yourself around. But I'm too woke for that, I'ma stand my ground. I'ma make a change, I'ma make a change. I'ma make a change, I'ma make a change. A change gon' come, that's what Martin said. A change gon' come, that's what Malcolm said. A change gon' come, that's what Huey said. And I believe it. A change gon' come, that's what Martin said. A change gon' come, that's what Malcolm said. A change gon' come, that's what Huey said. And I believe it. A change gon' come, that's what Martin said. A change gon' come, that's what Malcolm said. A change gon' come, that's what Huey said. And I believe it. A change gon' come, that's what Martin said. A change gon' come, that's what Malcolm said. A change gon' come, that's what Huey said. And I believe it. A change gon' come, that's what Martin said. A change gon' come, that's what Malcolm said. A change gon' come, that's what Huey said. And I believe it. A change gon' come, that's what Martin said. A change gon' come, that's what Malcolm said. A change gon' come, that's what Huey said. And I believe it. We all got potential. We all got potential. We can make a change. Yeah, we can make a change.
Yeah. That
Bravo.
great. Amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Nandes.
There is so much in there, Nandes. I made notes. My goodness.
Oh man, what you got? What notes
Well,
you
you
got?
know, what kept landing on me, and I want this panel to talk about it, and I want you to start first, is that chorus where you say, a change gonna come, that's what Martin said. A change gonna come, that's what Malcolm said. A change gonna come, that was Huey said, right? So do we think a change has come? I mean, has our community really grown? Are our circumstances different? Because that it's been what, 30 plus years, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that the like Black consciousness and the world consciousness as a whole, especially in the country, is definitely starting to wake up. I think it's kind of like in that phase, how, you know, when you kind of wake up in the morning and your eyes are still kind of blurred, but you can kind of see. I think that's what's going on right now. You know,
Right.
where like people see it and, you know, they're recognizing the injustices and everything that was going on, but at the same time, it's like change has always been, you know, an ongoing fight. It's always been messy. And, you know, like, you know, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and Huey P. Newton, they all had change in mind. They just had like different ways of going about it. You know what I'm saying? And but like the ultimate end goal was always like the liberation and, you know, just really letting us, you know, as Black people be free from the oppressive, you know, history that we've always had. And, you know, a lot of people, you know, like it's crazy how like we're not even that far removed from all that. You know, it's still people around who, you know, was there that day when they desegregated those schools. You know, it's still people around that may remember lynchings and all that kind of stuff. But I definitely think that this generation now, especially with social media and, you know, how visible it is, because that's the thing, it's never really been visible. It's always been like kind of local, you know, like something happened, it'd be in your newspaper or whatever. But now it's like at the click of a button, it could be around the world. So I think that, you know, definitely change is coming, and change is, you know, we getting there. We almost there. We just got a lot of work to do, you know.
What's your
Right.
opinion
So
on
you're
that, Rashid?
optimistic.
Man, my opinion about that, well, it's like, you know, I'm aware in a day and age where technology has, you know, been a blessing and a curse per se, because, you know, it's a blessing to be able to actually connect with family, friends, and to actually see these type of things, because when people actually hear us talk about, you know, oh, this is happening and oh, this is happening, they'll just say, "Oh, we're exaggerating. You probably have done something. You probably have a criminal past." Just by looking at the color of our skin, they'll just make that assumption without actually knowing the actual context of just what just happened. But now that we actually have the video proof, they still deny it. They still try to, say that, something must have happened. He had to have a, criminal past, and that's what the media does. They will always try to look at the negative of a person without realizing, what negative has just happened to him or her, right? Just to be, a neutral in that aspect. But overall, have we come to a change? It's been a slow change, but I already know Stevie Wonder. He's probably he gonna be in Ghana by the time that change fully comes.
Wow. Shirley, do you see that change?
I see change in awareness. I see small subtle changes. When I say in awareness, I think like you said, because we have social media now and we have cameras literally in our hands everywhere we go. I think people didn't realize how things were occurring. Like for example, I don't know if it clicked to any of you guys, but the insurrectionists, the mob, the crazy people that went to the Capitol, a lot of them were police officers. I won't say a lot.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
few of them
Yes.
were
Some of
police
them.
officers. Did that click to you guys to say, okay, if they're police officers and they're doing this crazy shit, why can't they believe that they're doing the crazy shit to Black people?
Right. In fact, it was
If you've
ex-police
got
officers,
people-
ex-military personnel. It was
Right.
just
If you've got people that are supposed to be upholding the law, and we've been complaining for years that they're killing us, and you saw what they did at the Capitol, and you're white, how could you not believe that they're doing the things that they're doing to us? So to me, it clicked. Like, okay, did anybody else have an aha moment, or are we going to ignore that? So I think there is some change in awareness, because now we have more people saying, like, I love it when I see. I'm sorry, but I just love it when I see. When I go to a category, whether it be Nordstrom's, wherever I go on their website and they say Black owned, that's a change. Black owned, they have a category. If you just want to buy only Black owned products, there's a category now. That's the type of change that I'm seeing. But change as far as the way that people are still prejudiced, we still got a long way to go. So yes, I see change, and they're positive changes, but not to the point where it should be, I think.
What do you think, Tanya?
You're muted, sweetie. Oh, she got.
I agree with Shelley, actually. I think that George Floyd's situation did change the way people understood and their opinion about police brutality, because it was undeniable. Just the act itself was undeniable. What they did was undeniable. I do believe that there's no awareness, but I think the change that everybody was looking for, Malcolm, Martin, it was racial equality, right? And I don't think we have that. I still think there is skepticism with the Black race. And we all are not at the equally. And so I think that was the change. Maybe we want to define the change they were looking for, but I think that's the change they were looking for. And I don't think we're there yet. But is it more awareness? Now, is awareness because it's the flavor for the experience, because you want to be in group and you look crazy when you don't agree that something really wrong happened to George Floyd? I don't know, but I do think there's an awareness. I mean, somebody said to me on my job the other day, Happy Black History Month, and I'm thinking, really? Like, okay, Happy Black History Month. I was like, I hadn't heard that one before, but thank you.
Thank you, Ray. You know that there was another lyric that really landed on me, Nandes, and it's the be the change you want to see, right? I
Yeah,
mean, and I think that's really powerful. And I commend you for taking that bold step with your art to say, I'm going to be the change that isn't about degrading women or isn't about um, stepping on other people, but it's about this positive rap official you are, right?
yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah. And so when you think about your journey with your art, how have you moved or how are you moving to be the change?
Um, well, I think, even just doing things like this, where we're having productive conversations and discussions is, an important step to try and be the change, you know what I mean? Even so, like as far as my art goes, like I really just like I write about what I feel, and like these issues are things that I really feel, so much so to the point that, like I really like I've told my family and friends and people like that this. I haven't really said it on a public platform, but I think I'm gonna go into uh public office sometime within the next 10 years in Compton and in Cali, and blend the rap and political world together the best way that I can, in order to try and be that change and try to be that bridge, because you know music and pop culture and all of that kind of stuff is so influential, and it has like such a cool factor to it that like I don't know, I just feel like maybe maybe I can make some changes, and even on a small scale, like at work, when I talk to people and the amount of influence, the amount of positive influence that I've had on them without even really knowing it or really trying, you know kind of convinced me, like, let's see what we could do for the city, let's see what we could do for the state, let's see what we could do for the country, because like she was just saying, the insurrectionists and all of those people, you know like they was all young, they're gonna be around, you know what I mean? Like they in our age group, they're not going nowhere. So the best thing that we could do is, get more involved in the things that could make, positive changes for us going forward, so but yeah,
Yeah.
so that's how I feel like I'm, attempting to be the change I want to see. Um, yeah, pretty much.
Well, you got my vote. If you run, you got my vote.
I appreciate it. Give me 10
Definitely.
years. Give me 10 years. I gotta put my footprint on the community first.
Right. Well, you are on your way. What
I
ladies,
appreciate
we
it.
talk a lot about community on POJ show, our commitment to community. When you think about your journeys, and anyone on the panel can jump in, what have you done as Nandes challenges us in his song to be the change that we want to see? Have we, or do you feel you have taken a step toward being the change that you want to see?
Yes, I would say I would have to say that I do. I would have to say when it came to inclusion and diversity, I had a different meaning prior to the recent events that's happened in the last year or so. And I also think that I've the change that I would want to see in everybody is being comfortable with having a conversation about race, because I think there's still people that are uncomfortable with having a conversation about race when it comes to their workplace. So I try to influence and encourage people to speak about it and to understand that they're going to be uncomfortable with it, because it's always been something that been conditioned to do, is be uncomfortable with talking about race in the workplace. But I'd like to see more people um, feel the same way I do or react the same way that I do. I I, I approach race completely differently than I did before. I'm not afraid to speak about race, or I shouldn't say be afraid, but I'm not uncomfortable about talking about it. Um, because it's always been a taboo in the workplace because, you know, harassment and discrimination and all that type of stuff. And it's no longer a taboo for me to speak. And I just wish that everybody would talk about it. Like what's there to be afraid of?
Yeah, Jelly, were you on that show with Linda Kay where we were talking about racism? How yeah, I mean, did that kind of open up a little bit? I mean, what did you think about that in terms of opening up more about racism? Was it more comfortable? Did
I
you?
was more I think it was more comfortable, and what I liked to see was that the people that were not people of color, that they talked about it. And that's what everybody should be. I mean, the person that was on the show, if I could say her name, Linda was very comfortable in speaking about it, and she was very comfortable in speaking about privilege. Like she knew and she recognized it, and she also was not afraid to speak up and say that certain things were wrong. And I think everybody should have that conversation instead of, oh no, I'm not going to speak, or I don't want to talk because I feel uncomfortable being called on. Or she was very upfront with race and privilege and all of that and her art.
All
Did you,
right, Laura G.
how did
I'm
you feel,
sorry.
Jackie? How did you feel about it? Did you feel it was an open conversation?
Kind of did. I did feel a little bit of discomfort, not like in a bad way, because it's still sometimes like kind of fresh and new, like you're saying, this new awareness, and because there's some things that are really at my soul and at my gut that I don't always share. Being the host, you kind of want to keep a happy median. But it was a little tough, a little bit because I don't know, race, Black history, shall we see? I don't know. We just know that I don't know. I'm kind of rambling. Obviously, not saying a whole bunch of nothing, but Black history is important to us. Lori G, do you think this is a
I'm sorry, I was distracted by a little monster. Look.
what? Who is that?
Got
Hey,
to say hi,
Toots.
guys.
Hey, Gabriel. Hey,
Hey.
Gabriel. Hi,
He's
Gabriel.
going on a date with his mom. So
Oh
he
my
came to
God.
say goodbye.
We
Hi,
never
honey.
gonna get no love from him. He adores Tay Tay. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I'm sorry, guys. I'm back. Was a little distracted there. Yeah.
Lord G, we got to get into this whole thing about Black history and get into more of some of Nandes music and celebrating
Absolutely.
hip hop. So where do you
Mhm.
want to go from here, Lori G?
Well, I think, like you said, we can talk a little bit about the next song that Nandes has, which is "It's Gonna Be Okay," right? So, can you tell us a little bit about that, the inspiration, and what's there?
Yeah, I dropped that song back in June. That was early in the whole like COVID situation. That was early
Mm.
on when, everybody was kind of losing hope and everything. And like the way I try to live my life, and I'm not saying that I don't get down or I don't get depressed or discouraged, but at the end of the day, I just try to remember that, no matter what, it's gonna be okay. So I wrote that song, I dropped it, and yeah, I just hope it's able to, inspire some people and let them know no matter what, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be okay.
True. And before we play that one, Nandes, where can we get your music? Let us know. How can
Yeah.
we get copies of these beautiful songs?
I am everywhere. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Napster, wherever. I just search Nandes, Nandes, and yeah, I think on YouTube is the only place where it would be Nandes Music. But everywhere else is just Nandes, Nandes. Spotify, Apple Music, like everywhere. Once you
Right, I
type
put
in
that in our
Nandes,
chat.
yeah,
Nandes,
appreciate it.
Nandes music. All right, Rashid, can we listen to "It's Gonna Be Okay"?
Have you ever felt so lost you feel that you can't find your way? Have you ever felt so low you feel that this your worst day? Have you ever felt the spirit of the Lord as you pray? It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Have you ever felt so lost you feel that you can't find your way? Have you ever felt so low you feel that this your worst day? Have you ever felt the spirit of the Lord as you pray? It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. The world can beat you down to your knees if you let it. Yeah. Please gas me up, premium, no unleaded. The world done took my joy away. Every night I really pray. I'ma let you in today. This exactly what I say. Please, dear God, keep my family that I love safe. Please, dear God, don't let me lose my mind today. Please help me beat my OCD, man, I be struggling. I do. I just wanna be a better person, gotta do something. I am in the fight of my life. I am. Been abandoned by people, did it out of spite. I have. Bottle my feelings, get the green like I was Sprite. I do. Gotta do the right thing in the nick of time like Spike. Yeah. Have you ever felt so lost you feel that you can't find your way? Have you ever felt so low you feel that this your worst day? Have you ever felt the spirit of the Lord as you pray? It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Have you ever felt so lost you feel that you can't find your way? Have you ever felt so low you feel that this your worst day? Have you ever felt the spirit of the Lord as you pray? It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. I hop in my car and I just drive away. Drive. I hop in my car and I just drive away. Drive. Hop in my car and I just drive away. Get away. I ain't trying to feel no pain, no, not today. No. I hop in my car and I just drive away. Drive. I hop in my car and I just drive away. Drive. Hop in my car and I just drive away. Get away. I ain't trying to feel no pain, no, not today. Not today. Not today. Not today.
All right.
I'm excited. That's so beautiful, Nandes. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Let's go around, panelists. What do you have your thoughts on that amazing piece? Lori G.
It spoke to me. Have you ever felt so lost? Right? And we can fill in a lot of different things. And it kind of relates to me too. When in your other song where you kind of talked about good mental health and people feel because you have a degree that you just all okay, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's not necessarily true. I mean, I think we often feel so very lost, and what do we do to get to the place of being okay, right? I mean, do we drive away? What we do? I know I have been in some spaces where, oh my gosh, I was so lost, and I couldn't drive away, for whatever reasons. But I love the fact, for me, what landed on me and spoke to me is that I could get down on my knees and pray, and that is my journey, my spirituality, right? But there's so much, in my opinion, in your music that you give people so many options and so many ideas about what they can do. But I have been, I've been that lost. Is anybody else felt like you've just been that lost? And I think COVID, my goodness, that created a lot of that too. I think I'll just take a couple minutes and then I'll shut up, right? We're a really close-knit family, my sister, my nieces. And when COVID came around, we couldn't visit, and that was crazy to me. And I felt so very lost doing that, during that time, because that's your, yeah, you have FaceTime and Zoom, and you're really grateful for that, right? But that interconnectivity and those connections, after a period of time, it weighs on you, right? It definitely weighs on you. And you feel that isolation. At least that's what spoke to me in your song. Any other weigh-ins there?
I think there's been, I think it speaks to a lot of people. I think everybody has felt that way at some time or another. But I think it's wonderful that it came out during COVID, because a lot of people were feeling isolated, or felt they couldn't find their way, or felt lost, or felt okay, because not only was there a pandemic, but for many people, their jobs ended. They were lost. Like, what am I
Mm-hmm.
going to do? What am I going to be? Or the job that I used to have has been eliminated because that employer is no longer there anymore. They went bankrupt. What am I going to do? How am I going to find my way? What am I going to be during and after COVID? So I think it's speaks volumes for a lot of people. And I could see why. Is this the song that the person, their fan, listened to and said that it helped him?
No, that was actually a song called "The Fight" that I
No.
put out. That was more, like about
Suicide.
suicidal thoughts and all that kind of stuff.
I get it. I
This
remember.
song,
Yeah.
yeah, this song helped a lot of people as well, in different ways, like you were saying. And it's still a lot of people who, you know, haven't found their way yet, or they're still trying to find their way. So, I still get messages, they still pour in. And I just think that, anytime you could use your gifts to try and help other people, think that's
Well, the one
the
thing I'd
best
like
thing
to
to do.
say and give you a compliment on, the one thing I'd like to say is that the two songs that we have heard, I like the fact that there's a message. There's
I
not
appreciate it.
just about everyday living and getting money and WAP and all that. It is, reality of what's happening. And I just like that about your music. I really do.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, there's definitely a place for all those kind of, types of songs, but I think
Hmm.
that I just think that like music with a message got lost in translation in a lot of ways. Not even just music, but just like entertainment in general. We're so desensitized and numb to so many different things. Um, you know, and everything is a joke, you know what I mean? Like everything turns into a meme.
Right,
So,
right. I
I
think
just think
that's
that
yeah.
I just think it's important to keep that going, to just like be able to be able to like turn it into different dialogues. I think that's important. So
Yeah, the message is I love it.
thank you.
I think the message too, because makes it's like Arsenio Hall said, things that make you go, right? When you're listening to your message, you're kind of thinking on it. But I think the part that really the one that I really liked is when it said, "Have you?" And correct me if I'm wrong. Have you ever felt the Lord's Spirit when you began to pray? Right?
Yeah.
Um, Something like that. Did I get it right?
It was like, have you ever felt the spirit of the Lord as you pray? It's,
Yeah, have
pretty
you
much.
felt the spirit of the Lord when you pray? And I think when you really pray and you're in that vulnerable, kind of submitted, Lord, help me type of prayer, you can
Yeah.
feel it right away. And you normally are in that space when you're feeling lost, because it's a cry out for help because you don't want to feel the way you feel. And you do feel a presence. You do feel the spirit when when you begin to pray. So I think that part really transcends across so many different scenarios that whether you lost, whatever it is you're going through, when you get on your knees or sit in your car, whatever you do, and you really lean in to pray, God is there. You can feel God there trying helping you.
Mhm.
Yeah. 100%.
Absolutely. Hello, Miss Chris. We'd like to welcome you. Thank you for joining.
Hi, thank you. Good
We're
to
having
see
a
you.
great discussion here with Nandes. Nandes is a musical genius. He's a
What?
wonderful artist.
Woohoo! I
Positive
love music.
rap official. So we're having a great conversation with Nandes right now. So
Nice.
thanks for hanging out tonight. You know,
Thank you.
Nandes, before the show, my sister and I were talking about hip hop and the meaning of hip hop. And when you hear that, what does that say to you? And I think that'll be a good discussion for us right now because we're generational, right? We got lots of different generations that were close to hip hop. If you're my age, or hip hop was very normalized if you're down the pipe with you and Rashid, and then all the other ladies that fall in between. So when you hear hip hop and you think about the the construct of it, its birth, what does that say to you as an artist?
Well, it's like two distinctions. Hip hop is pretty much the expression of yourself, and that's really what was birthed in New York. And then it's rap. I think and rap is more of just like the fun, like it could be serious too, but what I mean, like hip hop is more of the expressive side of it. So as an artist, you know like I think to me it's a happy balance. You know what I mean? Like I know when hip hop first started, it was used as a way to vocalize and make people aware of the things they was going through. You know, like you could point to songs like The Message. You know what I'm saying? Things like that, or like Ice T's Colors, or NWA, or all that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So as an artist, I think that's a little bit of that is kind of lost, and I think that's my motivation for a lot of the type of music that I make. Just to make like real expressive type of music, versus just rapping for the sake of rapping. Anybody could, well, not anybody can. I don't want to diminish the skill set of it, but like mm, I think it's harder to be vulnerable and express yourself than it is to just rhyme words. So that's what it means. That's what hip hop means to me. Just being vulnerable and expressing yourself, your authentic self. As a matter of fact, Dr. Dre and NWA had a song called "Express Yourself." So, that's true hip hop to me.
Absolutely. We can't hear you, Jackie.
Shit, am I?
There you are.
Hi guys, I'm back. Me and my big mouth. So yeah, hip hop, ladies and gentlemen, we got hip hop here on the Poetry of Justice show. Hip hop is a culture and art movement that was created by African Americans, Latino Americans, and Caribbean Americans in the Bronx of New York City. The origin of the name is often disputed. It is also argued as to whether hip hop started in the South or West Bronx. While the term hip hop is often used to refer exclusively to hip hop music, hip hop is also characterized by four key elements, ladies and gentlemen. The first one is being rapping, also called MCing or EMCing, a rhythmic vocal rhyming style. Then there's the DJing, found in turntablism, which is making music with record players and DJ mixers. And then you've got breakdancing as another part of it, the movement and the dance. And then, of course, ladies and gentlemen, we have to talk about the graffiti art. Other elements are hip hop culture and historical knowledge of the movement, ladies and gentlemen, is a persuasive voice and vocal style of the streets. It has become an entrepreneurial avenue for many. Hip hop is a language, hip hop is fashion, hip hop is style, among so many other things. The fifth element, although debated, is commonly considered either street knowledge, hip hop fashion, and good old fashioned beatboxing. So I know that was a mouthful, but that's our history of hip hop. Lori G approved me to bring to the show tonight. So look at all of that. We got clothing, we've got this, you got style, you got grace. Right now, I'm thinking about Shelly C. Remember that one of those trips we early years going to New York City, and you had this whole thing about you had to get all your style and your clothes together for the East Coast. Tanya Michelle, I remember that as well. So it is a culture, it's a feeling, it's just something that kind of gets in your spirit. At least for me, I don't know. What do some of you think about that when you think of hip hop at that level?
I remember when we were in the club and California Love came on and we was helping, we was shaking it to Tupac up in the house.
Hip hop is the place to be. I don't know. What about you, Chris? What does hip hop mean to you, Queen?
Um, so hip hop for me is, I guess I used to listen to it, maybe not a whole lot, even though I was into music. I was more into gospel music. So back in that time when I didn't know no better, it was always, oh, you shouldn't listen to that, or you shouldn't. So I was like kind of scared to listen to it. But I just thought it was a way of expressing yourself. You know, I've always written music like for years as a child, just thinking about stuff to say. And it was basically what was going on. When I look at hip hop, it's expressing what's going on at that time. Now, I don't know, rap as hip hop and what it sounds like. It makes you wonder, like all the conscious rappers, it just took a turn, and now what you hear nowadays is like, ooh, huh?
Yeah.
It like switcheroo. But we already know who did that. We know it's just to keep us down at this lower level of no knowledge. But hey, if I see your shirt says positive rap official, so if you're positively rapping about something positive, then hey, I'm with you.
That's all I do.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
I was reading up on hip hop before the show, and I read exactly what Jackie said, those 5 elements of hip hop. But the one element that really spoke to me and my generation, the dinosaur crew, right, was social consciousness, right, and social awareness. And I do think that a big part of hip hop is telling the story, right? Telling the story of my reality, telling the story of my journey, telling the story of my surroundings, right? And in your opinion, Nandes, do you think that has changed generationally from guys like, Chuck D to West Side Connection to some of the younger rappers that we see now? Do you still think they have that element of social consciousness that they bring to their music?
I think there's definitely rappers out now who have elements of social consciousness, like Joey Badass is a good one. He put out a whole album like basically about social consciousness and songs for his people, stuff like that. I just think that now, like I said earlier, everybody is just so numb, and it's nothing wrong with having fun music, but I think at this point, we're just so desensitized to a lot of the things that the older rappers may have went through. Like the older rappers still remember, the great leaders of the past that we haven't really had in my generation. Like Tupac. His mom was a Black Panther and all that stuff. So, like he obviously had influences, and he learned things that a lot of people in my generation haven't really learned. I was actually just having a conversation with one of my coworkers, one of the homies at work, and he put me on to this show on Netflix called Amend. Will Smith produced it, and it's talking about the 14th Amendment and how us as Black people wasn't guaranteed equal protection under the laws. We wasn't considered citizens. We couldn't vote, any of that kind of stuff until the 14th Amendment came, even though we was emancipated with the 13th Amendment. So, you know, I think a lot of the younger rappers, I think a lot of them are starting to wake up, but I also think that a lot of the rappers these days don't really care about the art of it. It's just, you know, it's a hustle. It's really a hustle because, you know, the shelf life of a rapper, for the most part, you know, if you're not making authentic music, is like 2 or 3 years. Like, where's Lil Pump? Where's Lil Yachty? You know, they not really doing nothing, but the Kendricks and the J. Coles and, you know, the Drakes and, you know, I know Ice Cube and them ain't rapping no more, but like Dr. Dre and all, like the people who make the authentic music, those are the ones that rise to the top, and those are the ones who really care about the art of it and care about making some kind of impact, whatever impact that is. So, you know, I think there's always going to be socially conscious artists. I just think that the artists that's pushed in front of us, that's force fed down our throats, are, you know, they're just trying to make some money real quick. So, you know, it's just up to you if you decide to, like, you have to really go dig for it. But I always think about it in the sense of, when have they ever really made information or the things that we need readily available for us? You know, like, even with Black history, it's a lot of things that a lot of people don't know because it's so, you know, it's buried so deep. So I think it's the same with like music and like, you know, artists like myself or like Joey Badass or, you know, even people like Russ. I know he's not Black, but like he's kind of socially conscious. So yeah, you know, that's how I feel about it.
Right. Rashid, what's your perspective?
Let's see. On hip hop overall, it's mostly just seen as a culture, because when I think of hip hop, I of course I go with, you know, of the Run DMC, the NWA, the Ice Cube. Also look at Nas, Jay-Z, and then we get to like and then we get to today's artists like, you know, J. Cole, Kendrick, you know, those that have, you know, I'm trying to actually, you know, I'm gonna spread a message with their music. There will still be those, you know, outliers that basically just that are there just for the come up. But I think overall, you know, I mean, not everybody can actually, you know, I'm gonna come into the hip hop game. Like, it doesn't matter which race you are. Not everybody can actually have that type of actual swagger to actually come into the hip hop game and to quote unquote, you know, I'm gonna take our culture and actually, you know, it actually monetize our culture, because that's been done for generations now, where people have actually profited off of our culture. So I think overall, some can do it, some cannot. Some can actually do it a lot better than others. But I think at the end of the day, it's something that we just need to come together on and just and just be one.
Thank you so much for that, Rashid, here on the Poetry Justice Show. What are you thinking, Lori G? Go ahead, Dave.
Well, I was thinking, as we talked a little bit about this area of where we think about the social impact of hip hop on our society, right? And for me, I wrote down, the question is, do we think hip hop gives a voice to the voiceless, right? Or is the genre of music being infiltrated with people who, as you say, Nandes, seeing it kind of like a scam, right? It's a way for me to earn money, and it's not about a voice. In this day and time, I think for me, you know, a kid of growing up in the late 70s, early 80s, hip hop made such a social impact, right? It was a way to get our stories of urban inner cities beyond that particular community. Do you think that same type of impact is being made through hip hop?
Well, I think it's a lot of like intricacies that goes into it, because like even though a lot of the artists today do kind of see it as a come up, like I had to ask myself, because like I was really critical of it. I had to ask myself, like, coming from the places that we come from, knowing how disenfranchised we've always been, knowing how, you know, like we don't really have as many opportunities. Like, can you really blame somebody, who is, you know, basically in the mud for, you know, doing something to help better his family or help better his situation? Um, I think that for the most part, the people who really end up being like the visible figures of hip hop, like the J. Cole's, like the Kendricks, like even like Vic Mensa or like Chance the Rapper, stuff like that. I think that they still do provide a voice for the voiceless, and even the ones who make the quote unquote BS rap. They provide a voice for the voiceless who may feel the same way as them, because a lot of them, even though they're not really talking about things that I may agree with, like a lot of them still showcase a lot of pain and vulnerability and just all the things that encompasses the Black experience and in the US or in the world. Like it's a lot of different ways you could take you know this skin color. It's a lot of different ways you can react and a lot of different ways you can feel about it. So I definitely think hip hop still gives a voice to the voiceless. It just depends on what your individual voice is. So it's a voice for everybody, I think. And I know like people like Jay-Z, um like I remember like when I was young and when Jay-Z was like the hottest rapper out, when he had like Big Pimpin' or Girls, 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 which is still a classic. And all this stuff is classic. But like even he is, putting out a lot more socially conscious messages. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember he had a quote. No, it was one of his lyrics. He was like, because his company Tidal actually pays artists more than like Apple or Spotify and stuff like that per stream. So he was saying like, it's crazy how people don't want to rock with him. They rather rock with the other guys. He was talking about like ownership. Same thing with like Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey Hussle, I think he would have been a big force to be reckoned with had he not been cut short. You know, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hip hop has a voice. I could go on like a tangent for like hours about all this stuff. But yeah, it's definitely a voice. You definitely still have a voice in hip hop.
Good thing.
So
That's a good
I got a
thing.
question. I got a question for you. So I know you say that every section of hip hop has a voice for someone because someone else. But what about, okay, so those who put out conscious music, okay, we know that they're trying to get a message across, but what about the ones who are not putting out conscious music? They're just putting out like BS, talking about women, shooting, doing all this stuff, and doing stuff that they probably haven't even never done themselves. Maybe somebody else did it that they knew. Okay. But when you think about that in the condition that we are in right now, do you think that because they put that out, that is a voice for the voiceless in a positive way?
No, it's not. It's not a voice for the voiceless in a positive way. But I think the reason like I haven't really given up on it is I remember hearing a quote Tupac has said, where he was like, if you want to, like, sometimes you could rise above all of this stuff, but sometimes you got to step up in it. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of these people who do make the BS music or do, you know, perpetuate stereotypes and perpetuate things that you really don't need. You know, I think a lot of them are lost, and I do think that is wrong. And I think a lot of them, for the most part, really like realize that. But you know, also it's also a destructive game in the sense of, you know, the people who control these artists and control what they can and can't put out are people who don't really have our interests in mind anyway. You know, and a lot of these people making this music are like 16, 17, 18 years old. Like, what do they really know? You know what I'm saying? Like, they just know money, weed, sex, girls, drugs. Drugs is a big thing. And I think that has a big impact on, you know, a lot of their mental development. Like, if you're taking prescription pills by the bottle at 16, like, I mean, how much can you really develop? So, you know, I just think that I think that it's still a voice for the voiceless, but I just think that they're lost, you know. So that's, you know, that's just my opinion on it. And I think that, like, for the most part, a lot of them, you know, they'll come out and do interviews or realize the error of their ways. And you know, a lot of them are puppets. Like, truth be told, like a lot of them don't know, you know, up from down. They just doing what they're told, that'll give them $1 million or whatever. So
Yeah, I wanted to add to it, just talk about a little bit what Chris was saying. One of the quotes by Jay-Z that I've always loved is, I don't know what song because I'm not good with names and stuff like that, but he says, everyone needs a chance to evolve, right? That's in one of his raps, right? So I think that hip hop and rapping is experiential, right? You can only rap through the lens of your experience. And even right or bad, negative or positive, that's the view. And unfortunately, some of the stuff that's out now, I don't even consider it hip hop. I consider it rapping, and maybe that's a question: is there a difference, right? Because some of the stuff is just talking or telling their life story or whatever it is. But I do think that even for Jay Z, his music evolved as he got more experience and as he grew older. Because like when I was looking at you, when you said his song "Girls, Girls, Girls," you felt a little something about that, right? That song, that may not be exactly how you feel about girls, but you like the song for whatever reason, right? But
yeah,
you're, 30 years from now, you may be looking at that song saying, that ain't cool.
yeah,
That's not the lyrics I want to talk about to represent women, right?
yeah,
So I think that everybody evolves over a certain amount of time, and um, I've gotten to a place in my life where I really try not to judge someone's experience. If I don't like it, I just don't deal with it. But I think that that's what we're seeing now. These are young, these rappers are so young, they don't even talking crazy, right? Or they're talking themselves because that's the culture, and that's what they know, and they're from their lands, which is unfortunate. Why we have these racial inequalities right now, anyway, because that's the lens of their environment.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, you know, and I think that's the reason why they push the like 17 and 18-year-old kids. You know, they're still kids. Like, they're still like somebody like me. Like, all right, I'm 30. Like, I've lived enough to where I know, like, my mindset is completely different at 30 than it was at 25. And I know for sure at 21, I probably would have been as destructive as a rapper as anybody else. Probably not as destructive because I was never like, you know, like, I was never really like wanting to talk about like guns and stuff like that. But, you know, the disrespect to women was there, you know, all the cussing and stuff was there at 18, 19, 20, 21. Because that's what you think is socially acceptable for one. And you know, that's all you really care about. Like you were saying, Jay-Z was talking about evolving. J. Cole has a line as well in his song 1985, where he was like, I remember I was 18, pussy pussy money parties, I was on the same thing. You gotta give a boy a chance to grow some. So, you know, you gotta, I don't know, it's just, I think that the most important thing we could do is not cast these young kids off, you know. I mean, unless they out here breaking laws and stuff, but they always get caught or something, whatever. But you know, I think that we shouldn't cast them off. I think we should try our best to pull them up with us. You know, that's the only way we're gonna grow. That's the only way we as a people are gonna advance. You know, you think about, even if you go back to like the Black Panther Party, like they was giving free lunches and like really trying to help educate the youth and stuff like that. And I think some of that is kind of lost a little bit, but I think we're finding a way back to it. But I think within hip hop, being that it is such a influential thing, I think that we just shouldn't give up on these 16-year-olds, man. Like 16-year-olds be stupid stuff all the time. It's just these 16-year-olds got fucked up by 50-something-year-old white dudes in suits, gave them a check and told them go out here and do whatever you want, run free. And I mean, if I was $16 million, I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably do some crazy stuff too.
Sound changed a little bit on us, Nandes. Thank you so much. That's probably why you see my face. We just got a little bit of a, I don't know, the sound just changed a little bit on me on your mic. But there's so much. There is so much that we have to do and so much work. And I appreciate that you go inside yourself and inside your mind and inside your heart and share your art with the world. And like I hear you say, you're international. People are commending your music all over the world. So I know that has to feel phenomenal. I'm just going to say, what I've seen, the growth and maturity and power. I think I've seen, listening to your work tonight, I hear the power and the growth of your music. I'm thinking back to us for the first time here, yikes, 4 years ago. And then here we are 4 years later. Much more powerful, Nandes. You have definitely grown as a man, as an artist, and as a friend. And it's an honor and a pleasure to have seen you evolve, right? And then we said we're using Jay-Z's lyrics, Tanya Michelle, right? The evolution. So I've witnessed the evolution of you, of you as a man, and your contributions to Black history and to our people and the betterment of our people. And that is something that we most definitely strive to do here in the Poetry of Justice show, where social consciousness meets the arts. Lori, did you want to begin to talk about some of your Black history festivities tonight?
I do, guys. I just want to kind of segment in there a little bit that tonight we have a really hard stop for our show. We get to talking here at the POJ show, and we will go way past 8 o'clock. Jackie calls it the after hours, right? But tonight we have a really hard stop. We have another addition to the Yikes family that will be moving into the studio, brand new show. And so they just need a little bit of time to kind of organize themselves and get oriented. So we're going to make that space for them to be able to do that. But what I want to do is kind of shift reels just a little bit, since we're toward the end of Black History Month. And I was so inspired as in your song, Nandes, where you say, we have to be the change we want to be. And so what we are doing here at the Poetry of Justice show, last week we featured African Americans who we didn't necessarily, they were not as well known as some of those other names. And oh my goodness, we got such a resounding response to that. So I asked the ladies if they would take a couple moments and share and present another figure in Black history that we could just hear and learn about. And then I have two really secret surprises that I'm going to share with you as soon as we kind of talk a little bit about getting to know these other individuals. So Rashid, would you put up our first photo, please? All right, Chris, I think this is you, right?
Yes.
So who is this gentleman?
Okay, so this is, let me see, I kind of wrote something down here. It's on my phone, and I'm on my phone, so I had to pull it up. So this is, and you might have knew this, I don't know, but I didn't know it. So his name is C.R. Patterson, C.R. Patterson, or Frederick Patterson, that's what he went as. He is the first Black person that his family had owned the Patterson Greenfield automobile. Let's see, they had a black-owned company in, let's see, where is this at? In Ohio, in Greenfield, Ohio. During the time that Ford came out with their automobile, they said that his automobile actually was just about as good. It came out in 1915 or 1915. And it was because when he passed away, his son took over and they tried to keep it going. Their first car, because they always saw the horse and carriage, and then the horses started going away. So they kind of started, building their own cars. Let's see. So they're saying that his car was kind of like the Ford's Model T, and their first one sold for $685. I was excited about this because it let me know, even though they made about 100 and something vehicles, the son tried to keep their business going, but due to not just Ford, but all these other white dealers coming up, they weren't able to, their funding wasn't able to keep up with them, and they kind of just dissipated over time. But it just gave me some encouragement that, Blacks have that mindset, and that, we can, do that again, because there's somebody out there listening who has that mechanical mind to create a new car and get that black car lot, get that black car. Your last name is your generational wealth. Let's hear that from somebody.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris. So we have met C.R. Patterson. I didn't know C.R. Patterson.
Patterson,
First,
all right.
black automobile. Cool. Who do we have next, Rashid?
All
And I
right.
think Shelley. Yes.
This is someone that I just learned about this year, and I'm really happy to introduce you guys to Thomas L. Jennings.
Okay.
He was a tailor in Harlem, Harlem, New York, and he invented what they called back then dry scouring. What he did was he put chemicals together to create dry cleaning. He knew that there was a way to get stains out of clothing without using actual soap and water. So he came up with dry cleaning. He is the one that invented dry cleaning. At that time, it was called dry scouring. He finally got it patented in 1821. And for a long time, it wasn't. He was born a free slave, well, what they called free at that time. He was born a free slave. And what he did was the money that he earned from inventing dry cleaning, he used it to free his family members, to free his wife, and to free his children. And he was an abolitionist. And after his daughter Elizabeth Jennings was forcibly removed from a white-only New York City streetcar in 1854, he organized a movement against racial segregation in public transportation in the city. He helped arrange her legal defense, in which the young future president Chester Arthur and won her the case in 1855. So he also helped a lot of other, or helped to try to free a lot of other people. I shouldn't say people, I should say African-American men and women who felt or who he thought that were wrongly accused. So he played a very important part, I think, in history. And I'm so happy to speak on Thomas L. Jennings.
All right. Thomas L. Jennings, dry cleaning. I didn't know that.
Thank you, Shelley.
Cool.
That's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Wow. It made, when you're doing that, I'm thinking about George Jefferson the whole time you're talking about this guy. I can't help but think about George like that fool.
He invented it. And they would not patent it for him for years. And when they finally did, I like the fact that he used his money to free as many people as he could and to help as many people as he could.
I don't think that one, that's a photo of Nandes. There we go. Tanya?
So this is Dr. May Jemison, and she is the first African-American woman astronaut. She was actually the first one to go into space in 1992. She's a pretty bad lady. She actually went to Stanford University for engineering, and then subsequent to that, she went to Cornell University and became a physician. She graduated with really high degrees, and she was able to break that threshold into going into space and astronauts being a predominantly male field. And it wasn't really for Black women. I think there was another white woman, but she was actually the first Black woman. She now is a professor at Cornell University, and she teaches engineering. And she's wrote a children's book on Where the Wind Blows, which is kind of like a journey of her life. So I always find myself, when I look at African Americans and what they did in history, I always find myself leaning kind of towards women to see how they broke the barriers, how they broke the glass ceiling. And she's definitely in that category.
Yes, way cool. May Jemison. Yay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, LaTanya. We appreciate that. Oh my God. Lori G.
It's my turn. And so I had a hard time, guys. I was going to look for an artist, but what happened is I wanted to tie in art and activism. And so there were so many people that I was inspired by. So I thought I'd put together just a little presentation for you. So if you can stop sharing, Rashid, that would be great. And I'm going to see if this works. We're going to hope that it will. Let's hope that it will, guys. So I want to share my screen.
All right.
All right. And let's see. Can you guys see that? Here we go. So guys, that was my tribute to arts and activism.
That was
Hey,
very, very
I
nice.
love it.
That was nice, Lori. That was really nice.
hey, good. There's just so many people, right, that have used their art just like you, Nandes. I'm going to add you to my slideshow, right? That's using their creative voice to really make a change and to make a difference. And in our last few moments together, that segues into the poetess Reigns, my sister JackieRay, who has definitely used her voice and her platform to make a difference, right? To do as Nandes says, to be the change that you want to see. So I had the pleasure of hanging out with her in making this little documentary that talks about her love child, the Poetry of Justice show. And Rashid's going to cue up that documentary short for us. And so this is a tribute to JackieRay Phillips, the Queen of Yikes.
Good evening and welcome to the Poetry of Justice show with JackieRay Phillips, and I am sitting here with the executive producer of the show, Lori G, aka the benefactor. How are you tonight, Lori?
I am well, thank you. No matter how many times I hear that, it always makes me smile. I am well and excited because it's a rare opportunity that you and I both slow down and take a couple of moments to reminisce and really think about the history, the creation, and the journey of the POJ show.
Wow, okay. The Poetry of Justice show started August 6, 2016, and we started at a little small radio station called Click.
You know, I will always remember you going into Click and having all of this documentation with you and say a word, Professor Bean. Do you remember Professor Bean?
Yes, Professor
And he would
Bean.
always comment on, you guys have so much material and you're only here for an hour. And then you took that courageous step to take us from 1 hour to 2 hours.
From Click Radio, the reason why we started the show there, guys, is because the Poetry of Justice show is where social consciousness meets the arts. And what we do is we select topics that spark the interest and awareness of social diversity, ranging from arts, entertainment, and social justice at large. So it allows us to pretty much talk about anything. After a while, I found myself to be radio show homeless.
We were, definitely.
And I say we were a little bit radio show homeless. You and I were working on a show.
Yes, we were.
And we met a guy named, you remember the comedian we met?
I
G.
do.
Dot Hill?
Yes,
Exactly.
G-Dot.
G. Dot Hill. So Lori and I met G. Dot, and G. Dot told me about, I was like, G. Dot, this is what's going on with my situation. He was like, well, Jackie, I just started my own show, and I'm over on Accelerated Radio. Here, you want to reach out to Kevin Nash. And so I called him, and Kev. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to meet Kevin Nash. And so I did. And at that time, Kevin was looking for, he just launched his own brainchild, Yikes Radio. And he wanted something that's all talk. And I'm like, oh, that's us. And he wanted topics for people to be like, oh my gosh, did they really say that? Yikes. And I'm like, well, that's us. I'm your girl, the Poetry of Justice show. And my goodness, we've been with Kevin. We went over and we started with a 1 hour platform with Kevin Nash. And we graduated, like I said, to that 2 hour platform. And then, so we were on Yikes Radio as well as Accelerated Radio simultaneously. There's no other show on networks that get to do that under Kevin Nash umbrella. So that gets to dub me the Queen of Yikes Radio. So, Queen of Yikes Radio. So when you think about that and the show and how it has grown, what do you think about, like, what would you say would be some of the most exciting points of the show for you?
It's the level of diversity and our commitment to showcasing that. I think when we think about one of the strengths and the uniqueness of the POJ show is that we are a platform that definitely gives a voice to the community that is inclusive and focuses on the level of positivity.
Yes.
And I think in this day and age, the media doesn't give us a lot of that. So the opportunity to have something that's uplifting, something that's forward thinking is truly a blessing. We are so proud at the POJ show because we have our very own resident therapist, Miss Gigi Richmond, and she meets with us and helps us to promote issues of mental health, but more specifically to normalize the diseases that come from mental unhealthiness, and to create a sense of normality centered around that.
We also, Lori, have a series that we've been doing. You remember, like the redemption side of things, and so that's kind of touches into our criminal justice side. We do a lot with individuals that were once incarcerated, the effects of mass incarceration on our neighborhoods, what that was like. We have shows on homelessness as well as emotional shows. Hurt People Highway, I remember was a really good show that we did, and it talks a lot about compassion for others and how we as human beings are to be connected and to take care of one
And it
another.
makes the POJ show stand out.
What would you think was one of your most memorable shows?
For me, one of the most memorable shows has to be The Power of the P. Oh, that was a good one.
P is in what?
P is in, like if you had yeah. that kind
Yikes
of thing.
Radio.
Right, Yikes Radio.
And so when I think about that show, remember we did that show with the amazing ladies of the chat. Did let everybody know about those guys?
Well, the history of the Ladies of the Chat is that there are four of us, right? So there's Shelley C., there's Tanya Michelle, myself, Lori G., and of course the Bonus Rings, right? And we've been girlfriends for over 30 years. We've gone on the journey called life and experienced a great deal of things together. So the opportunity to get together the third Saturday of every month from 6 to 8 p.m. and really talk about a range of contemporary topics, it's been invaluable. We also have an opportunity to make this thing generational, so that we bring in baby boomers, we bring in Gen Z, we bring in millennials to really talk about a range of topics across those generations. We gotta pay respect to our faithful sponsors.
Exactly. We have amazing sponsors of the Poetry of Justice show, starting with Lori G, the benefactor, and she's with Gingy Production and Entertainment Company. And I also want to give a very special shout out to our sponsorship, WMPJ Steelworks, as well as those amazing ladies of the chat. In addition to one of our newest sponsors, which is G Babies Catering LLC and APS Muscle Cars Incorporated. So we thank you all so much for your contributions to the show and sponsoring us here at the Poetry of Justice show. Saturday nights is where the place to be, right?
Definitely the place to be. Saturday nights, 6 to 8 p.m.
Lori, when you think about that, what do you think makes the show exciting and where it's gonna go?
I see the POJ show definitely making some transitions. As you know, our history, our base has been radio, it's been podcasting, and we've definitely made a footprint in that venue. But with the onset of the pandemic and the use of the webinars, we definitely have created a much more visual base for ourselves. And it's been fantastic.
Yes.
So the opportunity to move the show into more streaming, into more video, into more on demand, I think is definitely the next step. The blend of the guest and the audience together visually is incredible, and the conversations are so inspiring. So I definitely see that in the future.
Awesome. We have some very special guests on the show, and I attribute that, of course, to Big Top Promotions. As Lori said, we appreciate you and all that you do for us here at the Poetry of Justice show, and for bringing us this new NBA legend, everybody, Gene Banks. And he, too, has his own podcast, which is called The Bank Shot, and you can catch him on Sunday nights, and he's I think it's on Anchor, but definitely we've got some great partnerships going on now, so you want to be a part of us too, so definitely tune in. When you think of some of our special guests, who do you go most to?
I think one of my special guests has got to be Kev Mack.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that show a lot. To interview the interviewer,
Right?
was really great.
Right now, my most memorable guest was Baron J. Littleton Jr. and the Baron J. Foundation. Very intriguing, and it's been an exciting. He was a very exciting guest for me. Kind of got my head thinking in a different direction. So
Right. Big Tap Productions. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that
Yes.
partnership?
Big Tap Promotions, and Big Tap joins us from NYC, ladies and gentlemen, right there in the heart of it all, Times Square. We get to him each and every Saturday. He's with us on the show. And so Big Tap Promotions, he has brought us so many big names in our world. He always tells me, is it when we tell him we're going to book somebody, is it an A-lister or a B-lister? But it has been a joy having Big Tap with us, and so we've been able to meet individuals like Fedorov Colon was a big find, and that was directly through Big Tap. And Fedorov Colon works with Eddie Murphy Productions, so that was a big show for us, a big coup, I felt like. Well, we have spoken a lot about the great times on the Poetry of Justice show, Lori. So what do you think?
I think that we should take a couple of moments and check out some of the clips.
Awesome, let's do it.
Our goal.
So what do you guys think? We're running out of time, so I saved the clips for
That was
you.
good.
We'll review the clips next week.
That was
But
awesome. That was
I
nice.
just want to say thank you, ladies of the chat, and thank you, Sissy, for being courageous enough to come and create such a platform. Chris, a big thank you for being a steadfast contributor to the topics that we bring. And Rashid, thank you for keeping us flowing and going. So in my opinion, each and every one of you are an exceptional person and should be celebrated here during our Black History Month. So kudos to all of you. Nandes, a huge thank you for joining us. Like I said, guys, we got a hard stop tonight because of the new show. Nandes, will you come and hang out with us again?
Oh yeah, no doubt. I appreciate you guys for having me anytime y'all want. Just hit me
All right,
up
give
if
us-
y'all want. If y'all
Great.
want the ladies of the chat +1, hit me up.
Absolutely.
We got you going. You already know, Nandes. Got you at the speed dial. So yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do our trial run. Lori G, who do we have? We know what I don't know who we're gonna have next week. We might do something completely off the Richter scale, but I appreciate everyone here on the Poetry of Justice show, guys. Sometimes when I come in here, I don't know what's gonna happen. What do we do? Why do it? And question it often, huh, Lori G? But we're still here
Absolutely.
and we make it happen. Go ahead, Lori.
I was going to say thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. And tune in with us next week. We'll be here doing our thing.
All right. Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night, Facebook. Thank you so much for hanging with us.